coming back to this 8-hour feeding window, and I want to provide a little more basis for it, and just to encourage that it's not completely arbitrary. The lengthy review that I mentioned earlier features a number of studies that have used this 8-hour feeding window. But there's a particular study that I'd like to highlight, mainly because I don't expect people to delve into the full reference list of the other review. And this is a study that was carried out between Sachin Panda's lab and Krista Verity's lab. So this is a collaboration. The study was carried out in humans and is entitled Effects of 8-Hour Time-Restricted Feeding on Body Weight and Metabolic Disease Risk Factors in Obese Adults. And this study essentially showed, I'll just read the conclusions, that an 8-hour time-restricted feeding produces a mild caloric restriction and weight loss without calorie counting. So that's key, right? These people aren't calorie counting. Somehow, just by adhering to an 8-hour window, they are taking in fewer calories than they're burning off. And clinically, it reduced blood pressure. So I mention this study not because there aren't many others involving the 8-hour feeding window, also in humans, but because the 8-hour feeding window has been tested in obese adults and non-obese adults, and there are even a few studies in children. So this 8-hour window seems to be a really good rule of thumb and a kind of anchor around which we can each think about incorporating time-restricted feeding. There are, of course, other patterns of feeding, and while some people have engaged in longer fasts of 24 hours, 36 hours, or more, alternate day fasting, meaning eating one day, not eating the next day, or in some cases eating one day and eating very few calories, 500 or 600 calories the next day, has been tested. A few studies have also looked at eating a sort of maintenance level of calories for 5 days and then taking 2 days and fasting clear through, or eating very few calories, 300 or 500 calories. In fact, there's a sort of a community online of people that are exploring longer fasts for sake of trying to offset dementia or reverse effects of dementia. Thus far, at least in my awareness, there isn't any quality clinical peer-reviewed study on that yet for sake of dementia, although I await those studies. And if anyone's aware of them, please send me a link in the comments. But alternate day fasting has gotten the so-called safe bill of health. This has been written up, meaning that people didn't suffer bone loss. They didn't suffer any major detrimental effects. It does seem that it can create significant weight loss and can help with obese individuals, that it can reduce resting blood glucose. And every other day fasting, in many cases, can produce more rapid effects on weight loss and reductions in blood glucose than time-restricted feeding. However, every other day type fasting for most people is not going to be feasible. They're just not going to be able to do that for a long period of time.